All right, we are live now, and I had Bob Zerwinski on last week. I think it was last week, talking about his business and the program that they had helping nonprofits be able to get access to funding that they otherwise would not be able to get access to, utilizing some. Well, you know what? I'm just going to stop it there. I'm not even going to say it. Bob, you go ahead and jump in and explain a little bit about your all's business, your program, and what all you all do.
Well, first of all, some background on who we are. We've been in the insurance business for 50 some years. And about 20 years ago, um, actually, my son died of leukemia, and we got involved in the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but I got involved in that charity and felt like the charities were something I wanted to get involved with. I wanted to use my product too, so we developed this program, as I say, 20 years ago. It was a rough beginning, but it was kind of unusual. It was hard to get started. Everybody was resistant to it, but we finally got it started and did real well for about 3.5 years. Actually, in 3.5 years, we earned $500 million. Now think about that for a minute. That's a lot of money. $500 million in 3 years. In fact, it was so good, an investment company out of New York bought us. And we, I guess, probably shouldn't have, but we did. We signed a non-compete for 10 years. So that was in 2005. So 10 years goes by, it's 2015. We're now involved in another business, and it's in the energy business, and it was pretty good. But when the pandemic hit last year, a lot of us were sitting home during that time, and as I did, I thought about the old days when we raised money for charities, and I felt so much better about that than I did about the energy business. I decided that we ought to get back into that business. So we spent the next 2 or 3 months developing a plan that we think was better than the first one. It was better because people got the charities got the money up front. There was no basic paperwork, and most importantly, the donor or the contributor, I might say, because it is a donation, it's a loan, got to see the fruits of their labor rather than the state passing as they die. It was current. The charity got the money immediately. We called the program HELP, Air Endorsed Loan Plan, because in our old program, in interviewing a large charity in the middle of Ohio, they said that the problem was the contesting of the estates, the transfer of estates to nonprofits by the heirs became a problem. They never ever lost one, but just defending it and the time it took to defend it was number one a problem, expense-wise and time-wise. This would have no problem because our program says rather than donating the money, would you consider loaning it? That's the difference between everything that we've ever seen. Is we're calling for the contributor to loan the money rather than donate it, meaning that we're going to arrange to have it paid back at some point in time, and we guarantee it. We insure it so that we know that the not-for-profit is really responsible for paying it back. It will be paid back by the insurance company, and it's guaranteed. So, I talked about our old program and how successful it was, $500 million. But in the 20 years since we did the program, we've gone back to those charities. There's nobody there that we dealt with. They're all gone. They've all turned over. And it's a shame, but that's the way that the thing crumbles, and we have to start all over. And it's hard. It's hard because, number one, it's new. In some respects, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. In our old program, we had to not only involve the charities, but we also had to involve banks. Trust me, for 3 years, we got no's everywhere we went. When we finally sold the first charity, convinced the first charity to do it. I hate to use the word sold, but we convinced the first charity to do it. It had been a charity that we had called on a number of times, and the banks that they involved with, we had dealt with, and they all were negative, except that we had a prominent donor in Cincinnati who said, I'm on the board, and we're going to do this, and I'm going to be the first guy. And lo and behold, we did. We did it on his family. The first deal we made was $30 million. That was a great way to start. And as I say, once the barn doors were open, everybody came through. But as we're experiencing now, nobody wants to be first. It's different. It's just not in their wheelhouse. But we know that once we get one going, it's going to be pretty offensive. And, my dad was in the automobile business for my whole life, and so I can relate to it because when we started, he was an automobile salesman. He used to sell cars. And 40 years ago, somebody said, well, why don't we lease them? Lease them? What the heck is that? And so a concept that was new there, and nobody knew anything about leasing. All they knew was sell. Suddenly, the concept of leasing came along, and today, leasing is as big a part of moving cars as selling in the market. So I think that our plan, i.e. loaning the money rather than donating the money, will catch on. And we're not trying to destroy what's already there. The people who are donating the money, I hope they continue to donate it. It's for these people who hesitate for some reason. Why don't they do it? I don't know. Maybe it's because of the uncertainty of life. Maybe someday I'll need the money. Maybe someday my children, my heirs will need the money. I don't know why they hesitate, but I think of the trillions and trillions. I'm not exaggerating. How much money is probably sitting out there in ill-performing CDs and in property and whatever else that people could be loaning or donating. They don't do it. Why? There has to be another reason. The guys we have a good friend who is in charge of a large hospital charity here. And he says, when you come right down to it, my job is I'm a professional beggar. I go out and beg for money. And there's a lot of those professional beggars who I talked to a very large charity here in town who have some 60 people out, quote unquote, begging for money. It's big business, and quite frankly, it's pretty costly business.
Oh, yeah.
In our particular situation, it's not going to cost the charity anything. They get the money up front, and as I say, the contributor has a chance to actually see his or her money in operation. I think that's a really big part of it. So, having said all that, does it raise any question to you?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So, for the charity that's out there right now, how would this benefit them? Can you give us some ways that this would be a benefit to a foundation or a charity?
Well, let's just say this large charity that's in Ohio that has the 50 people out there, quote unquote, begging for the money.
Mm-hmm.
A few of them have called here, people in my office, and they've been doing it for 5 years. They've gotten nothing so far because they say the same thing every time. Will you give us the money? Will you give us the money? Can you figure a way to give us the money? If they had another quote unquote error in their quiver to say, if you won't give us the money, would you loan us the money? Maybe they won't, but why not say it? I mean, why not give them another alternative? Just like when you're buying a car, you want to buy it, fine. I know I don't have the money. Well, do you want to lease it? Hey, yeah, I'll do that. Well, that's not taking away the sales of the automobiles. It's just adding another layer that can be moving the cars. Again, when I think of the number of charities, when I was sitting home thinking about getting back into the fundraising business, if you stay up late at night, you're going to see St. Jude and the Shrine, and I'll be honest with you, SPCA, dogs, and it pulls at your heartstrings. These people are asking for $19 a month. How much is that going to do? These are worthwhile charities, and there's tons of worthwhile charities. I'm not here to judge the charity. In fact, I think you'll find that most established charities have a long list of people they've been dealing with for a long time. Some of which have given already. Some have given a little bit, but not a lot. Some have never given anything at all. What do they say different to those people to get them try to react? Nothing. And I think this is an alternative. And as I say, someday the loan program is going to be as big in charities as the leasing program is in automobiles. I really believe that. But it's going to take somebody with a little guts to say, okay, let's try something different. Now, if I have to direct my attentions, it's going to be to the charities. Because as I say, the charities got all the names. They know, they probably know everything about the people that could or do respond to them, who support them. And it's up to them to direct us as to where we're going. But we'll go with the solicitors if they choose. We don't charge anything. We don't charge a fee. We are paid by how much we earn. We're compensated. So the charity doesn't cost the charity anything. Why wouldn't they try it? Why don't they want to try it? I don't know. I think, as I say, it took us 3 years, and trust me, there were nights when my partner and I sat at night and said, "What in the hell are we doing?" We have spent more money. There are times when we flew to California to make a presentation and took the red eye back. We went up to California and back in the same day. It probably $800 for a call that lasted 30 minutes, and we were getting basically nowhere until somebody broke the ice. One of our existing clients got on board and said, "Hey, I love the idea, and we're going to do it." And I said, "Hey, we have been there. We've gotten no's from those people. Their bank said no." We said, "I don't care. We're going to do it. I'm going to do it." And lo and behold, that was the icebreaker, and all of a sudden, you know, we had to go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to a bank called Mellon Bank to get them to agree to back our program. The irony of the whole situation is they never ever got a deal because the incumbent bank, once they found out that there was another bank willing to do it, they all did it. And every one of them, and all the banks we had called on who had said no, suddenly said yes. All the charities that said no, not all of them, but most of the charities that said no, now did it. So, we are still in the insurance business, and I don't really need this, whether this program works or not. I'm doing this one. We're doing this one from the heart. There's a lot of satisfaction in making sure that the right charities get the right kind of money. And as I say, the money is there. If I had $1 million, $10 million, $500 million, and I knew that I could give it to let a charity use that money to do the things that they do right, and I was going to get the money back. It wasn't going to cost me a thing. I had a guarantee it was going to come back to me. Why wouldn't you do it? What a waste to let that money. I mentioned this before, and I'm old enough that I had a magazine. I used to read comic books. One of them was Donald Duck. Donald Duck had an uncle named Scrooge McDuck. And for all of you who are old enough to remember, he had a room where he dove in it like a porpoise. And there's a whole lot of porpoises out there. A whole lot of Scrooge McDucks who got rooms full of money. They're never going to use it all. Their kids are never going to use it all. But they sit on it. And I think it's a crime.
Well, it's. I think you mentioned earlier about uncertainty, and I think a lot of people, they're unsure if they give this money, even if it's a good worthy cause that they have a heart for. They're always afraid of the what if later. If I give this now, what if? If I give this now, what if? So, explain a little bit. You mentioned that it is a loan. Can you explain a little bit about it being backed by insurance?
Yeah, there is a provision in the insurance contracts that say if there's a hardship, you can get up to 75% of your money back immediately. And so we've tried to figure all contingencies. Man, we've had experience not like we've had 20 years worth of experience, but for 3 or 4 years, 15 years ago, we were heavily into this. And so we came up against everything and every concern. And one of them is, hey, what if the economy turns around? What if I suddenly need the money? What if my kid needs the money? What if my heirs need the money? I don't know, but we have reserved those contingencies that can't happen. So we're not God, but we think we've got pretty much everything.
That's awesome. So I did put the website below where people can go to find out any information that they may want to find out. If somebody is out there right now, whether it's a charity that is interested in implementing this type of a program or somebody that is willing to donate, is the website the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can also call. I mean, the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. I can preach to you all I want and tell you how wonderful everything is and how we met every contingency. But until it happens, and believe me, the person's age, their health, how much money they have to donate, all has a factor in how this works. And every deal, it's not a cookie cutter thing. It's specifically designed for each person. But that was the case in the other program too. And as they say, $500 million. You show me somebody else that raised that much money that fast. And it was because we didn't just take it off the shelf, and we didn't just duplicate what somebody else was doing. We did something entirely different, which is what we're doing now.
That's amazing.
What we're really looking for is to sit us down with somebody and say, look, you got all kinds of people. Give me your toughest one. Who you've been calling on for the last 5 years who said no. Let's see how they feel about this. And maybe they'll say no. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. And we're certainly willing to put in the time. It seems like the charity will be able to meet us with that commitment of time and call on some of these people to find out exactly if another arrow would work.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you being on. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we end?
How much money do you have?
How much money? I don't have enough for that. So.
Okay. Well, as I say, I appreciate the time. You've been wonderful, and hopefully something will come of this. If nothing comes of it, I feel like the same thing with this as I do feel like talking to the donors. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're out there right now and you're watching this or you're listening to this and you're interested in finding out more about Churchill Group Help and how they can help you, just go to the website www.churchillgrouphelp.com and you'll be able to get connected with the right person. I'm assuming the phone number is on there for them to call you as well.
Yeah, we have people in Nashville, Tennessee. We have people in Columbus. We have people around, so it's not going to be just us.
Okay.
And as I say, the faster it grows, the more people get involved. This is just the seed, so to speak. So
absolutely. Well,
let's get the word out.
Absolutely. It's been great. And I'm a big believer in charities and giving back. And this sounds like a great way for somebody to be able to give the money that they're wanting to give anyway with a lower risk on, the future what ifs. So I really love that. You can go to www.churchillgroup.help.com for more information. And thanks, Bob, for being on today. It's been great.
Thank you, bud.